right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town, of New York town.
We are live, Mets and baseball fans. Thank you all so much for being here, guys, for another episode of New York Mets Talk. I'm happy to be back here with my good pal Richie to break down an awesome series for the New York Mets, and offensively speaking, at least, that being against the Cincinnati Reds. We'll also be previewing the series that starts tomorrow against the Toronto Blue Jays, which is going to be awfully exciting. And we'll also be talking about some potential trade options for the Mets, as I'm sure a lot of you guys would like to touch on that, and potentially taking callers depending on how long today's episode goes. But before we get into anything further, I just want to say thank you all so much for being here again. I see Timothy, Kyle, great members on the channel. Let's see here. Joe, all you guys, Robert, Chamber, thank you all so much for being here. Swap Boy, hello. So, Richie, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. It was a great series against the Cincinnati Reds. I feel like we had an opportunity to sweep them, but I'm not going to be ahead of myself because we did come out with a victory of the series, and it was a much-needed victory of the series after coming off a disappointing performance against the Pittsburgh Pirates coming off the All-Star break. We got the offense exploding. We got Marcus Stroman going back to his ace form. And yes, I said ace form because Marcus Stroman looked like on another planet yesterday. But I got a lot to talk about. I know that we're going to get deep into the entire series regarding the Cincinnati Reds and then pivoting into the Toronto Blue Jays. And I just want to say shout out to everybody in the chat. I miss you guys, and I'm happy to be back talking some Mets baseball. It's been a while.
Yeah, man, it has been a while, but a lot has happened for the Mets since the All-Star break. As we know, we have a lot to dive in, so I'm really not going to wait that much longer. Just want to say again to everyone just chime in and really appreciate you guys. Please make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. You're just coming through. Help us get a 50 likes for the first short-term goal. And again, guys, what we usually do when it comes to certain questions, we'll probably be taking questions towards the end of the show. So if I don't nitpick any of them in particular, don't be bothered. Just reiterate it towards the end of the show after we recap and preview the series. But now getting into, let's talk about game one against the Cincinnati Reds here, and what a Red series this was, because if you guys don't know, I was in Pittsburgh for the game. Unfortunately, one of the Pittsburgh Pirates games that was not a win for the Mets. The Mets, for whatever reason, the Pirates had just been their kryptonite. The series before that, before the All-Star break, Richie and I were in attendance, and we saw the Mets lose more games that they won. I don't know what it is about the Pirates, but it wasn't fun. It was a crazy game to lose in the walk-off to Stallings, but no less. Coming in the Red series, the offense stayed hot, and the Mets were able to keep up with the pitching to an extent. And the Mets won this first game against Reds in Cincinnati 15-11, which is a game that I think Richie and I can both agree upon took years off of our life, literally a back and forth the entire time. And you could tell right from the beginning of this being a bullpen game that it was not going to be anywhere low scoring. But let's get into the numbers here. So the Mets won 15-11 in the 11th inning, no less. They go to extras, and boy, oh boy. Brandon Nimmo, what can I say? Brandon Nimmo has been a place setter for the Mets all season long. He went 2 for 5 in this game with a run scored and a walk. You had Pete Alonzo, who was 2 for 6 in this game, thanks to a home run from Big Meat Pete. Not surprised whatsoever. Had himself a run scored and 3 RBIs. Jeff McNeil, 2 for 6 with himself a home run as well. 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. Dom Smith had a home run. Yeah, there were a lot of home runs in this game if you couldn't put it together by now. 1 for 5, a run scored and an RBI. JD Davis, 1 for 3, a run scored and a walk. Kevin Pillar, Superman, coming in clutch with a monstrous home run for the New York Mets that ultimately gave them the win in the end. In extras, was 1 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 3 RBIs. Michael Conforto, be like Mike, baby, had himself not 1, but 2 piss missiles on the night against Cincinnati. He was phenomenal in this game in particular. 3 for 6 with 3 runs scored and 3 RBIs thanks to his 2 home runs. Tomas Nido was 1 for 3 with a run scored. James Mccann was 2 for 3 with a run scored, 3 RBIs thanks to a home run. James Mccann came in clutch as well. Luis Gormay, who had himself a phenomenal series, might I add. So underrated is Luis. He does more than just a glove in the infield. He was 2 for 4 in this series with a with a walk. Then you had Jared Eichhoff, who was the last person to hit. So while Eichhoff did not perform great pitching-wise for the Mets in this game, he did give them a hit. He was 1 for 2, and it was, what can I say? I'm trying to think. I think it was a bunt single for Eichhoff, if I'm not mistaken. But no less, Jared Eichhoff did not have a great game overall in 3.2 innings pitched. He gave up only 2 earned runs, but there were 7 unearned thanks to errors, unfortunately, on the Mets defensive side of things. They have not looked stellar defensively. You can clearly tell that a lack of Francisco Lindor is definitely hurting this club. Even with guys like Luis Gormay, he's had some F-ups, as we've seen since the All-Star break in the infield. Doesn't happen all that often, but unfortunately that's been the case in the Pirates series and the Reds series. But no less, even though that Eichhoff did give up those 2 runs and 7 unearned runs, then you bring in Yennsy Diaz. Yennsy Diaz had 1.1 innings pitched. He got the job done. The former Toronto Blue Jay, no less. Miguel Castro did give up a run in 1.2 innings pitched. Edwin Diaz did give up a run in a save situation, so Edwin was not able to close a door. It is his 3rd consecutive blown save, unfortunately. So, again, very unlucky, though, with Edwin. I will say that. It's one of those situations where, luckily, it was a situation where it wasn't a walk-off against the Pirates, where it was a game-ending blown save. But no less, it's a tough pill to swallow. These are things that Edwin needs to shore up. Banda was 1 for 1, who just got called up for the Mets and gave themselves a serviceable inning and an out. Inning and then some. And then Trevor May got the job done with 0.2 innings pitch and shut the door. So the Mets in the first game, winning 15-11, were 6 for 13 with runners in scoring position and left 6 on base. So Richie, why don't you break down your initial reactions and emotions throughout the entirety of this game? Because I know it was such a whirlwind for the both of us.
This was probably the craziest Mets game I've watched in years. And when I say that, it was because it was a seesaw battle. It was where, first inning, 3-0 Mets. Brandon Nimmo gets on base with a single. Pete Alonzo hits a 2-run shot. We're up 2-0. Jeff McNeil comes to the plate. He hits a solo shot of his own. So the Mets are winning 3-0. And we're like, okay, good. We need runs because we got Eichhoff on the mound. And we know that the only way we can win this game in a ballpark like Cincinnati with Jared Eichhoff on the mound is if we score a lot of runs. So we're feeling confident. And then we got the craziest sequence of errors I've ever seen. And this is a game after Sunday's performance against the Pirates, where we all know what happened in the first inning. One of the most embarrassing plays I've seen as a Mets fan, with the whole, rounding the whole bases and Taijuan Walker thinking it's a foul, whatever. Rojas getting kicked out of the game. This was right after that sequence, and obviously we came back to win that game, which was awesome. So it kind of, threw away that embarrassing play. But right after that, as we know, Francisco Lindor is injured, and Louis Guillorme is filling in for him at short. We had so many errors, so many routine double play balls that was just botched from Louis Guillorme and Jeff McNeil. Guillorme had 3 errors and Jeff McNeil had 1 of his own, and Guillorme had 2 errors on 1 play. And that just really woke me up. And I understood, but I know a lot of Mets fans did not understand how much Francisco Lindor means to this team defensively. And people always just say, oh, the contract, he's not hitting. And they don't realize how much of an impact he's had on this team defensively in the middle of the infield. He does so much, and we take it for granted. And then you take him out of the shortstop position, and we almost lost this game due to the defense. Eichhoff would not have given up this many runs if it wasn't for the defense. I do have confidence in Gormay. I really feel like he is a defensive guy, and he just had a really messed up game. But the one thing about Gormay that I love is he had a terrible start to the game defensively, but he backed it up at the plate. He got on base 3 times, so he canceled it out. 3 errors, on base 3 times, 2 hits and a walk. So you love the resiliency from Louis Gormay. But the beginning of the game was really insane because, like I said, we started off 3-0, and then the Reds all of a sudden score 7 runs, and it's 7-3 Reds. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this game is, first off, I thought it was going to be great on our side, and then it's 7-3. And it's not even like they scored 7 runs due to a bad pitching. They scored 7 runs due to terrible defense. And this team, the reason why we're in first place is because of pitching and defense. That's why we're so good so far this season. Our offense, as we know, has been lackluster. Obviously, in the Cincinnati Reds game, it broke out finally. But the reason why the New York Mets are 50-43 in first place in the NL East is because of the pitching and defense. And in this game, the pitching and defense was not on full display, so the offense had to step up. And that's awesome to see because I feel like now with the starting pitchers being injured and Francisco Lindor being injured in particular, so the pitching and the defense is not there anymore as we would hope. So now the offense really needs to carry a load, and that's exactly what happened. The resiliency from this club to fight back. We got Dom Smith to tie the game at 7 apiece, and in the next inning, the Reds go out there, get the lead 8-7, and then James Mccann comes in for a pinch hit 2-run homer to give us the lead, and then we're just, you know what I mean? It's a seesaw battle. We're like, yay, no, yay, no. It was just so crazy. And then Edwin Diaz comes out there. He gives up the blown save, and then we go into extras. We score in the top of the 10th. They score in the bottom of the 10th. And then the top of the 11th, we absolutely onslaughter them. Jeff McNeil with an RBI single, Kevin Pillar with a 3-run homer, and then Michael Conforto hits a home run of his own. So this was one of those games, like you mentioned earlier, it definitely took some years off of my life. I was watching it with my buddy Jack. He was over, and we're just like, yo, when is this game going to end? Who is going to win? And there was a point in this game where I honestly gave up, and it was the bottom of the 10th inning. They scored to tie the game. And it was first and second, no outs. And I'm like, okay, they only need one more run and the game's over. But they grounded into a double play, and we somehow got out of that inning. I don't know how, but we did. And then that's what led us to go into the top of the 11th with offensive firepower. So this game I could talk about for the entire stream because there's so much that happened to talk about. And I'm so happy that the Mets actually came out on top in this one because when you win a game like this, it really shows the heart and the resiliency of a club like this, being down 7-3, fighting their way back, having an embarrassing start to the game defensively and not getting that rattled. And that's so important for this team mentally. They don't let the negative parts get to their mind. They push through. They stay in the moment. They do not focus on the past. They do not harp on their bad things. And shout out to Louis Gormay because he had definitely his worst sequence of his career defensively, and then he backed it up getting on base 3 separate times. So this was a game, like I said, I can talk about over and over again. I just love the resiliency. I love this team so much. It showed their true heart. It showed their true grit of this entire season. And if you want to put this New York Mets 2021 season on one game, I think this is the one because it really shows how much this team cares, and they do not fight into the end.
You know, I think what's so important to take away, not just from this game in particular, but the entirety of the Mets so far in the second half, is that the offense is there. The resilience, we know it's always been there this year, but they have lacked those pivotal runs at times. They have made games really close and unfortunately have fell short to a lot of times subpar pitching. But this year in the Pirates series, even in the games that they've lost, the offense was there and the rally was there. They just fell short. And now in this Red series as well, getting into game 2 that we'll be discussing, they made things interesting. And Kevin Pillar said this better than anyone else, I think, coming out of game 1. And that was, this is like not a surprise to any of us anymore. We are a tight-knit group. We have that next man up mentality. For him to be clutch and get that multi-run bomb in extras for the Mets to ultimately give them the lead. And there's everything leading to that point. Like you said, you broke it down to a T. So thank you for that, Rich. You did a fantastic job. But you're right. Coming down from one, we were originally down like 7-3. You know, I was nervous, but at the same time, I didn't really have this gut feeling that the Mets wouldn't come back, especially from the runs that they were getting against Pittsburgh. I'm like, the Mets are actually they're actually jumping on subpar pitching. The offense is kind of finally together outside of Francisco Lindor, unfortunately, who's out with injury. But when you have a J.D. Davis, who has been as offensively minded as he has since coming back, go figure, I'm not surprised by that. When you have Brandon Nimmo, that's the place setter that he has been. When you get guys like Michael Conforto, that's finally coming out of his slump, coming off the IL, and Jeff McNeil, who has been an absolute monster, really, for a while now. Easily over 10 games, has been on a hitting streak. So you get all these factors in, and you're getting this resilient group that I know that they've underperformed offensively drastically all year long, but they are finally turning it around. And truly, if they get out of this, and they get out of this, not just this series, but going forward with a couple more series wins under their belt, with all their pitching woes thanks to injuries, this team is going to be set up for something fantastic. And these are the kind of wins that define your club, to come back numerous times in a game to really make it something special on the road, no less. And that's not an easy thing to do. The Mets have had a poor road record, going into the second half. So to get this series was massive. But again, guys, before I go any further, I just want to say again, thank you all so much for being here. If you're watching this live, I see Thomas, a great member on the channel, a ball boy for the New York Mets, that will actually be meeting really soon. I see a lot of comments in here from Louis. All you guys, if you guys are going back and forth asking questions, all that fun stuff, that's great. Like I said, we will be taking questions towards the end of the show, so stay tuned for that. But let's get into game 2 now, Richie, because this was one that a tough pill to swallow, if you ask me. But I give the Mets plenty credits here, even in this loss, because yes, they left guys on base. Yes, they were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position and left 9 on total. But the pitching, for a team that had no pitching whatsoever in this game and still made it close, that's important to me. So gaining this 4-3 loss for the Mets, they lose the second match against the Reds, but there are some positives to take out of it. Again, Pete Alonzo staying hot once more, fresh off the home run derby. Another day, another bomb for Big Meat Pete. He went for 2 for 5 with a run and an RBI. Then you got Jeff McNeil, who was 1 for 5, keeping the hitting streak alive in this game. James Mccann, and I don't care what anyone else says about James McCann, McCann has been one of the more consistent hitters for the Mets for the better half of 2 months now, and people need to start realizing that. Once again, McCann in this situation, 2 for 4, batting 500 on the day with a run scored. Kevin Pillar, Superman, after getting that monstrous winning home run the night before, he goes for 2 for 3 in this game with more playing time. Luis Gormay only coming in as a pinch hitter in this one, but he gets 1 for 1 with an RBI. Fantastic stuff from Louis. Then you get into Jonathan VR, who was 1 for 3 in this game with an RBI. Then we get into the pitching. Okay, so we had Robert Stock that got the start here because, again, Mets have injuries. Jacob deGrom is on the IL. And Robert Stock, he did give up a run in the first inning, but then he was out because he hurt himself legging out down to first. So Robert Stock's done for the game. Then he bring in Nagosic, who was just called up by the Mets the same day, I believe. He gave up 2 runs in 3 innings, though. But again, given what you're asking from him in that short period of time, I'm not bothered by that. I thought Nagosic did fine. He got the job done. Edwin Diaz, another day, back-to-back days for the former Toronto Blue Jay pitching. He has himself another scoreless inning. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Edwin Diaz. Then we have Hartlieb. I might be pronouncing his name wrong. Hartlieb, however you pronounce it. I don't even think he's with the club anymore, but no less, he was in here for this game. He did give up a run in 1.1 innings pitch, who was just brought to the team. Then Aaron Loop, another former Toronto Blue Jay, was 0 for 2 in this game. Was 0 for 2, 0 for 2, and why am I saying 0 for 2? 0.2 innings pitch. Jesus, thank you. Okay. He was perfectly fine. Then you got yourself Drew Smith, but himself a scoreless inning pitch. And yeah, so the Mets fell short in this one. It sucked. We were watching many scenarios where they had multiple guys on base, but just couldn't bring one more run in. So it would have been awesome to sweep the series against the Reds, but again, to make this a 1-run game and for this to be as low scoring as it was, when you're looking at the pitching side of things, for the Mets, I'll take it. And look, the Mets are facing a hot Wade Miley, who we just did a video on the channel. So guys, check it out if you haven't. Wade Miley, the 34-year-old southpaw in his second year now with the Reds, had himself a no-hitter this year. He has a sub-3 ERA. I believe it's right around 2.72 or so. And he just shut down the Mets. The Mets have not been able to hit southpaws this year. I don't know why. They just have not. Wade Miley had himself 6.1 innings pitched in this game, only gave up 1 run and had 8 strikeouts. So it is what it is. I was worried about Miley. He was by far my biggest worry, and no less that ended up being the Mets' downfall. So, Richie, what is your takeaways from this game, too, even though the Mets fell short?
Yeah, you pretty much said everything I said in my recap video I posted on my channel. This was a game where I feel like we could have won if our offense played the way they did the other 2 games. You know, we got to give the credit to the bullpen because we had a lot of no-name guys that filled in for the Mets that pitched pretty well. Robert Stock started off this game, and he had to leave after the first inning with the hamstring injury. And right there, you're like, uh-oh, another bullpen game after coming off of the game before, which was going into the extra innings where we had nobody left in the pen. And I was a little pessimistic when I saw that happen. But the bullpen in 8 innings only gave up 3 runs, and that's pretty insane I feel like this was a game where the Mets could have won, but the offense wasn't there. Unfortunately, you cannot expect this team to go out there every single night and be consistent at the plate, because we know that this team has been struggling all year with runners in scoring position, and they were 0 for 7. Brennan Nimmo had his worst performance of the season, 0 for 5, 4 strikeouts in this game. And if Brennan Nimmo is having an off night, then the offense is going to have an off night, because he's the spark plug of this offense. He's the X factor. If he gets going, if he gets on base at the top of that lineup, that opens things up for people like Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonzo, and Dom Smith to bring him in. And it was just an unfortunate sequence of events. I'm not too concerned, though, because eventually we won the series. But this definitely was a game where we got to tip the caps to the bullpen. Even though we did not win the game, I'm taking this as a positive, because, like I said, we cannot expect the offense to carry the load every single game, because we have to be in reality of what this offense can do. But we've seen some glimpses of what this offense can do if everybody clicks at the same time. And it's pretty remarkable when that happens. When you have guys like Brandon Nimmo, Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonzo, Dom Smith, and Michael Conforto all clicking at the same time, we're deadly. We are absolutely deadly. We're clutch. We can drive people in, and not even to mention James Mccann, Kevin Pillar, Jonathan VR. There's so many guys on this lineup that when they're hot and when they're all clicking at the same time, we can be potentially a top offensive team in the league. I think we're 7th in baseball right now in runs scored in the month of July, which is huge for the Mets, because we know that the run scored has been lackluster to start off the season. So, like I said, I'm not too concerned about this game, just because the bullpen definitely showed up. Guys like Nogosek, 3 innings, 2 runs. I mean, that's not terrible. And then the rest of the game, you cannot complain. And then going into game 3, I'm excited to break this one down, because this was definitely a fun one. But game 2, I'm not concerned, because we did win the series eventually. But if we did lose game 3, then game 2 would have felt a little less. I would have not really been that optimistic.
Yeah. Game 2 would have hurt a million times more if the Mets fell short in game 3 in the series. No doubting that, especially being a 1-run game, even with the lack of pitching. But luckily, that wasn't the case. The Mets had one of I'd say their most dominant games of the season, just from all fronts, offensively and defensively. They just got the job done in every which way. So let's get into the 7-0 victory for the Mets, clinching the series against the Reds in Cincinnati, no less. A Reds team that really, for the first half of the season, was looking fantastic offensively, thanks to Jesse Winker and Nick Castellanos. As we know, Nick Castellanos has been dealing with injuries, and it actually looks like he's going to be out for at least a couple more weeks now, unfortunately. So wishing Nick the best. I like him. He's a great player. But no less, the Mets took advantage of injuries to guys like Nick in this series, and overall just jumping on the Reds' lack of starting pitching depth, with Hoffman, no less, who was getting the start. And another Toronto Blue Jay connection, was originally drafted as the Toronto Blue Jays as potentially being their next Roy Halladay. As we know, that is the farthest thing from the truth. That never happened. But getting now into this game 3 of the 7-0 Mets victory, Brandon Nimmo, another man, another day with another walk. He went for 1 for 3 with a run scored and a walk for Nimmo. Of course he did. Jeff McNeil, 1 for 4, keeping the Haynes streak alive, 1 for 4 with a run and a walk. Big Me Pete got himself a 1 for 4 with a run scored and a walk. Plenty of walks in this game. Dom Smith, talk about Dom bombs. Dom Smith had himself a grand salami, the second of the Mets season. Fantastic to see. Thank you, Dom. 2 for 4 on the night with a run scored, 4 RBIs, a walk, and a grand slam. As I just mentioned, Jonathan VR had himself a home run too. He pimped that thing to right field, and that made it 1 for 4 for him with a run scored and an RBI and a walk. Tomas Nido was 1 for 5 in this game with a run scored, getting the start. Luis Gormay, another game for Gormay, another day of getting on base plenty. Gormay really looked good this series. I'm happy about that, from the offensive side of things at least. 2 for 5 with a run scored and 2 RBIs thanks to his home run. His second career home run, guys, so you don't have to keep reflecting on the 1 home run he had previously in his career. He has 2 now. Marcus Stroman, 8 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, has lowered his ERA to 2.57. I said going into this game, the Mets need a Marcus Stroman dominant start more than ever right now, because 1, Stroman hasn't even pitched past the 5th inning in his past 5 starts, which has not been good. Unfortunately, he's really been on a bit of a schneid the past month in general, dealing with some injuries as well, the passing of his grandmother, a lot of factors going in, I'm sure. But no less, Stroh came up clutch with the bullpen completely dead, completely gone from the previous couple games and series against the Pirates as well. Stroman pitches the deepest he has all season long, goes 8 innings, and all you need is Dries Familia, who shuts the door, no problem. It even strikes out Jesse Winker looking to get the W. So, Richie, monster game for the Mets here. They went 3 for 6, 500 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 on base, but it doesn't matter. They won 7-0, and what I truly believe was one of their most dominant wins of the season, where they were just having everything right go their way.
Yeah, I mean, all three phases of the ball clicked offensively, starting pitching, and bullpen, and that's all you can ask for, and defense, not to mention as well. Marcus Stroman, this was really important for him because, as we know, the pitching has been great all year, but now we're so thin. We're still waiting to see what's going on with Jacob deGrom. We're still waiting to see what's going on with Carlos Carrasco. As we know, he got lit up in his rehab assignment, so we don't even know where we're going to see him next. David Peterson's still on the IL. We don't even know if he has a spot in this rotation anymore. Syndergaard. So the only two guys that are healthy that we can put trust in is Taijuan Walker and Marcus Stroman, and then Tyler McGill. Obviously, he's a revelation. He's a rookie that is a sub-3 ERA, which is ridiculous in 5 starts. But for Marcus Stroman to come out here and remind us Mets fans that he is a dominant pitcher when he's in the groove, that shows you that this Mets team is deep at the pitching rotation when we're healthy. Right now, we're not healthy. So that's what I'm trying to say. Marcus Stroman, like you mentioned, he started off the season unbelievably good. Sub-3 ERA all year long. He had 7 consecutive games pitching 6 innings or more. He was going deep into games. And then, unfortunately, with the passing of his grandmother, maybe his mindset wasn't there. He didn't have confidence. His mind was on other things, and he got a little rattled up at sometimes. But now in this game, he goes out there and pitches 1 hit ball through 8 innings, 7 strikeouts. He easily could have a no-hitter, but that was a crazy performance from Marcus Stroman. He was on another groove out there. It's really important to have this game for him because that's only going to get him even more confident going into his next start, because this team has been built to win on pitching and defense. And when Marcus Stroman has a game like this, it makes you so confident that we could be a team that can go deep into the postseason, because Marcus Stroman has a lot of postseason experience. I'm pretty sure he had a dominant postseason appearance once in his career. So that tells you that he's not rattled by the big moment. And I don't want to get too far ahead and thinking about the postseason right now. But what I'm trying to say is for Marcus Stroman to go out there, pitch 8 innings, giving up 1 hit. And let me say this. He only had 90 pitches through 8 innings. So he could have went out there and pitched a complete game, but there was no need to do that because we were up 7-0 due to the firepower offense from the New York Mets. Jonathan VR starts it off with a solo shot. And then I love this sequence right here. This is what you want from a baseball team, like from Little League. When you put a guy in a cleanup hole at the 4 spot, this is exactly what you want to happen. The leadoff batter, Brennan Nimmo, single, gets on base. And then number 2 was Jeff McNeil. He gets a single of his own. He gets on base. First and second, no outs. Pete Alonzo comes to plate as the 3rd spot. He gets a single, and then the bases are loaded, no outs. What happens? The cleanup hitter is up next. And what is the 4th hitter's job? It's to clear the bases, and that's exactly what Dom Smith does. He jumps on the first pitch. He takes it opposite field. I don't care that it would have been a sacrifice fly in Citi Field. We're in Cincinnati, and it is a grand salami, and that's just awesome to see. And then Louis Gormay getting his first home run of the season, the second home run of his career, was awesome to see as well. Everything was clicking. I saw a crazy stat where it was I don't know what inning it was, maybe 5th, and Marcus Stroman had a fly out to Dom Smith, and then Gary Cohen's that's the first out in the outfield all season. That tells you how on Marcus Stroman was. Nothing left the infield for 5 straight innings. That's crazy. We know he's a ground ball pitcher. We know that when he's on, he can actually punch people out at a higher rate than we even can expect. So this was just a great performance from the Mets on all cylinders, and this is the formula to success for the New York Mets, having dominant pitching and having good defense behind him and having finally offense, because if we can have more games like this and build on it, that shows you that we are a team that's not just a fluky team that's in first place for no reason. We have 50 wins. We're 7 games above 500. And now we got a big test going up against a fiery offense with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay. Awesome. So let's get into, before we get into the Blue Jays, I want to break down the 3 stars. But before we even do that, I would just like to make a note that there was one slight injury that we saw in the Mets game 3 yesterday, and that was Jeff McNeil going down the first base. And it looks like as soon as he hit the bag, he kind of tweaked something, but he was very adamant that he was fine and everything. I don't think it's a hamstring or, anything that we really need to worry about. And I'm almost certain they kept him out for precautionary reasons, and it's kind of a blessing that the Mets have an off day now before they start their home series tomorrow against the Blue Jays. So I do believe Jeff McNeil is fine. I know I saw some people in the chats asking for his status. I have not seen anything further as of now, but I'm going to go with the assumption that he's going to be fine and he'll be ready for the Blue Jays series. It didn't look like he pulled anything, where we saw him get hurt earlier in the year against Tampa. He just kind of nicked something on how he landed on the actual bag, and he wanted to stay in the game, but the Mets took him out, I think, for precautionary reasons. So that's just my quick stance on that. But now let's get into the 3 stars of the series, guys, because I love this because I could have picked like 6 of them, but I have to narrow it down to 3. So, Richie, I'm going to let you start with your 3 stars, and I'm going to be curious to see how accurate or inaccurate you will be from mine. So go ahead.
First one's definitely Marcus Stroman. He has to get a star. He had his best performance of his entire season. Number 2 could be either, wow, there's so many guys to choose from. Michael Conforto. I'm picking Michael Conforto. I feel like he didn't have the best series after game 1, but that game 1 was awesome to see. We saw him have, he was 3 for 6, 2 home runs, and he has been hitting the ball as of late, and he's making contact. Even though he's not getting a bunch of hits, you see yesterday's game, he had 2 hard hit balls that unfortunately did not go his way. They made good defensive plays. And then my 3rd star, damn, you're putting me on the spot, man. My 3rd star has to be Pete Alonso. I feel like Pete Alonso is getting on base every time. He's getting multiple hit games. He had a home run, and his average is skyrocketing right now. He's getting on base. He's seeing the ball well, and I feel like Pete Alonso is destined to, carry this load into the second half. And that whole theory that the home run derby messes up your swing, I think it's the polar opposite for the polar bear. We saw in his rookie season, the home run derby gave him momentum to go chase that record from Aaron Judge, and he eventually beat it. And now the same thing's going to happen. He wins the home run derby, and I feel like he is destined to get around 35 plus home runs to end off the season. You're muted, Wardy.
Oh, my bad. Those are all great picks. I want to say I love that you picked 2 of the 3 that I didn't, specifically because something told me that you might. So my 3 are going to be Pete Alonso. He's the one that we both have the same. 5 for 15, 2 bombs, 4 RBIs. Big Me Pete has been on fire. He's been exactly what we were kind of hoping all throughout the season, but the power's really starting to show. Has been more consistent since the All-Star break, no less, after the home run derby. So I don't know if that gave him a little bit more of a boost of confidence, especially taking advantage of subpar pitching. But hey, I will take it, Pete. Keep up the great work. My 2nd star is going to be Luis Gormay. I think Gormay had a phenomenal series that really went overlooked, mainly because of the little defensive mishaps he's had too in the Pirates series as well. But was 5 for 10. He batted 500 in the series, had himself a home run. Is only his 2nd career home run of his career. So I got to give that to him. And he had 3 RBIs. I thought Gormay really got the job done, especially offensively for the Mets. If you guys don't know, Luis Gormay has been an on-base god really since 2020. He's had an over 400 on-base percentage really for the past year. So he's been getting the job done and then some for the Mets. And Dom Smith, I had Dom as my 3rd star. He was 3 for 9 in the series with 2 bombs, one of them being a grand slam, and gained 5 RBIs in total. So Dom looked really good. It felt like every single time Dom made contact, it was going out in this series, and that's great to see. And my 4th star that I will say, even though that it really makes sense that he isn't, but I'm going to put him in there, is Dave Joust. I thought he did a fantastic job managing for the Mets with Louis Rojas out of there. Even when Rojas originally got thrown out and the Mets won that final game against the Pirates. I love him. I think we all love him. I know that shout out to my good friend Thomas in the chat, who's one of the members that's going sharing his comments right now. He did buy a Dave Joust jersey on Twitter. He said, if I get like 100 retweets, I'm going to buy one. And he made a custom one and bought it. So I love that. That's commitment right there. So yeah, I just shout out to him. He's an absolute beauty, not just Thomas, but Joust, of course. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Asia in the chat currently if you're watching this live, guys. Asia with the $20 donation, guys. Everyone get some dono hype in the chat for my good friend Asia. Thank you so much for that, from my friend. Asia, I'm almost certain that I interacted with your mom in a previous stream. I'm pretty sure that she was commenting, and I'm sure you know that. But Asia says here, hey, Tyler, I was in Philadelphia working at Citizens Bank Ballpark. They need city field workers out there. Interesting. Oh, yeah, I know. I remember when your mom said that you were in Philly. Next time we go out there, the Mets be there. Okay, perfect. So maybe I'll see you there because I will be probably going I'm eyeing August 7th, which I believe is a doubleheader against the Mets in Philly. They had me working at the wing stand next to Tony Luke. Awesome, Asia. Well, I hope you had a good time. I know that's Philly. It's enemy territory, but the Citizens Bank Park is a nice ballpark. I go there quite a bit, so I hope you had a great time. And again, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're doing well, Asia. But Richie, any final words or comments you'd like to make before we get into this pivotal, and I mean pivotal, series against the Toronto Blue Jays, which I have an announcement to make before we even get into that one?
Yeah, this is going to be a interesting series coming up against the Toronto Blue Jays. I love what I saw from this Mets team against the Cincinnati Reds. I feel like this was a series that was a must-win. I said that going into it because of the disappointing performance against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And now we got a big test. We got 3 straight series at home. We got to take full advantage. This is a big test for our pitching in particular going into the Toronto Blue Jays series. So I'm ready to get right into the preview, man.
Okay, perfect. So let's get right into the preview. And again, guys, if you have questions, as I mentioned already, we'll be addressing those towards the end of the stream after we preview this Blue Jays series and talk about some trade options, all that fun stuff. But also, again, help us get a 50 likes for the first short-term goal in the chat, guys. If we get to 100 likes at some point, even after the stream is uploaded, it would really mean a lot, guys. So continue to smash that like and subscribe button. Of course, make sure not just check out me here at WardyNYM, but check out Richie at Mets Media. Help him build his following there. He's definitely been doing a great job with all things Mets-related, small and big. So definitely check him out. Hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot, guys. But my one announcement that I would like to make, guys, for the 70 or so you viewers in here, if you're watching this live or on replay, is that I will also be talking about the Blue Jays series, more of an in-depth preview with some Blue Jays gurus, if you will, that being the boys from Blue Jays Today. I will be on their channel later tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So, guys, please make sure to subscribe to Blue Jays Today. If you haven't, they are fantastic Blue Jays fans. Love both of them. I've been on their channel before, and I'll be on there again tonight to preview this series more in-depth than probably what we're doing here from a Blue Jays fan's perspective. I'm talking about some other trade scenarios and all that fun stuff. So definitely check it out, guys. Later tonight, it's going to be an absolute blast. So now getting into the series, Richie, Toronto Blue Jays. I love the Blue Jays. I absolutely love the Blue Jays. It just sucks that we have to play them now. This is going to be tough. I would have felt far more comfortable if a man by the name of Jacob deGrom was in the rotation and pitching in one of these games. So I don't know how pitching-wise this is going to go for the Mets, but the upside is that 2 of the 3 stars are stars that I have been comfortable with to this point. I don't know. We're going to get into it, though. Toronto Blue Jays, they're 4 games above 500 right now. I know that we got Blue Jays fans in the chat, especially Kyle. The Blue Jays did lose their last series. They technically got swept, if you want to call it, against the Boston Red Sox, but there was a 1 game that was postponed due to weather. But no less, they are 48-44 in the season. They are currently 4th in the AL East, but they are closer to a wild card spot, obviously, than they are currently at the division lead. But the Blue Jays, their offense has been their absolute horse. They're in this entire season long. They've had one of, if not the best offense in all of baseball. They have been dominating the AL East. They just haven't had enough pitching. That's as simple as that. It's really unfortunate. I knew that was going to be an issue for them a big time going into the season, and that is coming to fruition again. But if we get into game 1 here, into the series starting tomorrow, which I will be live for, guys, and also tomorrow, if you want to know, I'll be live for the game for at least an hour in the show. We will have our good friend Jim at Ballcap Sports doing the commentary with me so we can have some Toronto Blue Jays and Mets connection. So stay tuned for that, guys. I hope you all are going to enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow on the channel. But Steven Matz is going to be making his homecoming to Queens, back on Long Island where he grew up and was a dire Mets fan, was a New York Met for a long time, as we know. He's making his return. The Southpaw is 8-4 on the season with a 4.43 ERA. Tyler McGill, who I'm actually pretty excited about to see him pitch again and see how he does against this kind of lineup that is so deep offensively. He still has yet to record a win through his first 5 career starts, just like Jacob deGrom did, no less, but he is 2.63 with his ERA. Tyler McGill has been a godsend for the Mets in this rotation. The 25-year, 6'4", 240-pound rookie. He's been getting the job done, so we'll see how he does in this game, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that goes. Then we get into game 2, which is on Saturday. That is going to be Ryu, who is their ace for the Toronto Blue Jays, having another really strong season. By far, I would say outside of him and one other pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, they have been their strongholds. 9-5 on the season with a 3.32 ERA. Versus a former Toronto Blue Jay during his short stint last year in Taijuan Walker. Walker's 7-3 this year for the Mets with a 2.99 ERA, and that's all because of the runs he gave up in the first inning against the Pittsburgh Pirates. And nothing went right in that game. It was so fluky. I know we all know the story about that by now. But now getting into the third game and the final game of the series that will be on Sunday, it'll be Stripling getting the start for the Toronto Blue Jays as of now, 3-6 on the year with a 5 ERA or so, facing off to be determined. And there is belief that it might be Cookie Carrasco, but the Mets might be leaning more to push Carrasco a couple days back because he did not have an ideal rehab start in Syracuse most recently, in which in just over an inning pitch, he gave up 5 earned runs. So Cookie, unfortunately, was not able to locate things the way that he would have liked after having a really good first rehab start with Brooklyn Cyclones, which, again, is high A. But no less, we'll see if it's going to be Cookie or if it's going to be a complete bullpen game. Either way, I expect this game to be an offensive galore. And when we get into the hitters of the series, this should not be coming as a surprise either. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. is the best hitter in baseball. If not, I think we can all agree he's the best hitter in baseball right now. It's a little bit of shame because if Shohei Ohtani wasn't a thing, I think he's for sure a lock to win the MVP this year in the AL. And while anything can happen, it does look like Shohei's probably going to win it at this rate. But no less, Vladdy's having an amazing year. The young man cut some weight in the offseason. He has a 329 average on the year. He was, of course, the All-Star Game MVP that just a couple days ago, has 32 bombs on the year, 79 RBI. 79! This guy basically has 80 ribeyes already. A 1.107 OPS, and he's actually been cold over his past 7 games, batting under 200. But again, he only has 4 hits in his past 7 games, and they're all home runs, including 8 RBIs. So when this guy makes contact, you know it's going to get out of the park. He's dominant. I'm excited to see how he does. I hope the Mets can work him well, but Vladdy's going to have a good series. He always does. Then we get on Teoscar Hernandez, another awesome stud for the Toronto Blue Jays, who's a couple years into his career, 28 years of age. He has a 298 average this year with 13 bombs, 53 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, has some speed on those base paths, has an 822 OPS, really strong, and has been hot, batting over 300 over his past 7 games. Bo Bichette, one of my favorite players on this club, their stud shortstop, has a 292 average on the year, 16 home runs, 61 RBIs, 12 stolen bags, plenty of speed there, 812 OPS, and has been right under 260 average-wise and under 300 on-base percentage over his past 7 games. Marcus Simeon, and I'm focusing a lot on offense here, guys, because you're getting far more offense than you usually do pitching-wise with the Blue Jays. So we're going to talk about more than 3 hitters. Marcus Simeon, who had one of the most dominant first halves out of all players in the MLB, has cooled off quite a bit since then, but still batting 274 on the year, 23 bombs, 58 RBIs, 10 stolen bags, can get the job done on the base pass, 867 OPS, and it has been cold over his past 7 games. George Springer, talk about, I almost want to call it a homecoming, Richie. I don't know about you, because George Springer, we all felt was going to be a lock to be a New York Met this offseason. They were saying, oh, he's, we got Buster Olney out of all people betting the farm on it. That's going to happen, all this, all that. I talked about George Springer endlessly. I talked about with Blue Jays fans, and lo and behold, George Springer does not land in Queens. He goes to Toronto. He's been injury plagued this year, as we know, but in still under 100 at-bats so far this season. He's batting 236 on the year. He's finally healthy. 7 bombs, 14 RBIs, 828 OPS, and he has been hot over his 7 games. So, Richie, I'm going to let you take it from here. What is your stance on this series? Are you excited? Are you nervous? What can you expect from a red-hot Toronto Blue Jays offense that can get the job done any given day? It's normally just the lack of starting pitching that has hurt them the most this season, and, of course, some bullpen.
Yeah, I think this is a big test for the Mets. We get to go back home where we've been absolutely lights out so far this season. Our record is well over 500 at Citi Field. And I just feel like it's a big test for the starting pitching in particular. Tyler McGill, as we know, his first 5 starts, he is a sub-3 ERA, but he does not have any wins. But at the same time, he doesn't have any losses. He's 0-0 in 5 starts. So Tyler McGill is going up against Steven Matz in game 1, correct? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is going to be an interesting matchup.
So that's going to be a big matchup. I really hope the Mets light up Steven Matz. It would be a little disappointing to see Steven Matz, cook us. I know that we've struggled against southpaws so far this season, but I think this is a big test for Tyler McGill and Taijuan Walker in particular because they get a chance to go up against a red-hot, potent offense for the Toronto Blue Jays in a team that we do not verse a lot since it's in the American League, as we know. So this is going to be a big test. I feel like, and we don't even know who's pitching game 3, unfortunately. We think it's Carrasco, but most likely it's not going to be. And this is a big test. I keep saying that over and over again because this team, the formula of success has been pitching and defense. And right now, we are missing our best defender, Francisco Lindor, and we're missing our best pitcher, Jacob deGrom. So now how is this team going to adjust? We've seen the Mets over and over again deal with adversity like pros. We had Michael Conforto, Brennan Nimmo, everybody on the IL at one point where we had literally had the entire bench playing and we still stayed afloat and remain in first place. Now we got that next man up mentality once again. And it's just a little concerning to me just because the formula for success for this team has been pitching and defense, and we're missing our best pitcher and best defensive player. But at the same time, I'm confident in this team's ability to deal with adversity. I feel like they have such a great camaraderie. They feel like it's a family in the clubhouse. And when you go into work every single day and you love the people around you and you believe in each other and you don't let the losses get to your head, that's what builds championship mindsets. And I really feel like this Mets team has that, and they've not had that in the past. I feel like the culture under the Wilpons, it's been very toxic. It's been very, in the media, everything that's bad, it's just very glorified. But now it's totally different. With Steve Cohen, everything feels a little different in the clubhouse with Marcus Stroman's positive attitude, Francisco Lindor still being the coach in the dugout. And I feel like now with that next man up mentality that they're used to it, they understand that, okay, this guy's on the IL, not the end of the world. He'll be back eventually. We're going to have this guy plug in and he's going to, play well. And I feel like they have such a great, acceptance of who's next, who's coming up. Okay, Louis Gormay and Jonathan Villar. Now they are the shortstops of this team. Francisco Lindor is easily telling them some tips and tricks of how to be in constant communication with the third baseman, with the second baseman, how to turn those double plays, because we do not realize, I always appreciated it, but there's some Mets fans that really did not appreciate Francisco Lindor's defense. They just kept harping on the fact that he was struggling at the plate and not realizing how much of an impact he's had on this team defensively. And we are one of the best teams in the league defensively at runners scored, runners saved, whatever it's called. But still, Francisco Lindor, he's not on this team right now. He is injured. And we have a big hole to fill at that shortstop position. So I feel like the X factor for this team going into this series is, can this defense hold up in the middle of the infield? Because we saw it struggle so far with Francisco Lindor out. And can this offense carry us? Because I think this is the time where this offense really needs to take over, because we've struggled all year. The past couple of weeks, the offense has been trending in the right direction. And if this offense can really break out, then we're going to be a crazy team. Because I really feel like the only thing holding this team back from running away with the NL East crown is the offense, because that's the only thing that's not been consistent. The pitching, the defense, that's been consistent all year. We'll see what the defense can do without Lindor over this next couple of weeks. Hopefully we can get Lindor back sooner rather than later. It's very unfortunate that Lindor got injured at this point, because he's been known to be a second half player all throughout his career in Cleveland. He was slashing around like 275 in a span of 30 games, somewhere where we're used to Lindor having. It's going to be hard for Lindor to break out of that, raise that batting average, because the month of April and May was so abysmal. But Lindor is trending in the right direction. He got a base hit right before he got injured, and I really feel like Lindor is destined to have a crazy season, second half of the season rather, and hopefully he's going to be back sooner rather than later. I feel like Louis Rojas said that he's a little ahead of his schedule. I think Zach Scott said that actually. So hopefully we can get Lindor back mid-August, late August, because we need him healthy. He is such an important part to this team, and people really need to realize that Francisco Lindor is a huge part to this team's success. When he gets his back going, which he has been in the past, he is lights out defensively, where we don't even have to worry. Yes, he'll have an error here and there. He's human. He's a human being. He's not a robot. He's not going to just field every single ground ball absolutely perfectly. His ability to be the communicator on the mound, communicating to the pitchers on the mound, giving them confidence. It was a little worrisome that Louis Rojas said that Edwin Diaz kind of misses Francisco Lindor on the field because he kind of pumps it up. I love that. I love that Francisco Lindor can do that, but it's a little concerning that Edwin Diaz needs a guy like Lindor to pump him up. I'm not too concerned about that. And Edwin Diaz is another big X factor for this team, because he's coming off 3 consecutive blown saves. So how is Edwin Diaz going to bounce back? Is he going to have that mentality where he's going to push through? He's not going to focus on the past. He's not going to worry about the 3 blown saves. He's going to focus on the present moment and getting the job done, because we've seen what Edwin Diaz can do when he has all this stuff going. And he is absolutely dominant. And we've saw that. So please, Mets fans, do not turn your backs on Edwin Diaz. Believe in him. I feel like we just, as a fan base, needs to realize that this team, and baseball in particular, it's such a long season. It's a marathon. And when we go through dry spells and we go through little rough patches, we cannot turn on our players. We cannot start booing them. We cannot start saying trade them. We cannot stop saying DFA them. We say, okay, they're going through adversity. Let's cheer them on and get them out of there. I feel like this fan base needs to start having that mindset, because I'm so sick of being at Citi Field and Edwin Diaz has 10 straight absolute dominant performances, and then he has one blown save. He gets booed out of the stadium. I can't stand that mindset, but I can't control the fan base. Who am I to say anything? But I really feel like this series in particular is a big test for the Mets, and I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir, Richie. And I think it's important to look at the Mets and just how pivotal the series is, because you're talking about adversity. As we know, the Mets have faced adversity this entire season, undoubtedly, between their endless injuries. And coincidentally enough, they once again find themselves in a little bit of an injury bug hole. But I would like to bring some positivity, at least to that end, and how that will possibly connect into this series and going forward is one, Francisco Lindor, as you said, has seen some positive signs. This is the first time he's had an oblique injury, and we know obliques can last you upwards of a couple weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months, potato. It can last a while. We know that. Luis Gormay had himself a very similar injury this year, and he was out quite a bit, as we know. But when you look at Gormay, what he's bringing now that he's back, that's good. Lindor, same scenario where he's a little bit ahead of schedule. Zach Scott did state he had a podcast appearance with John Heyman for the MLB 2 days ago. Check it out, guys, if you don't know. I have it in my previous video. Not previous video, 2 videos ago, or maybe it was my previous video. I think for Wade Miley yesterday. My apologies. Check it out in the description. But Zach Scott did know that Lindor is looking good and that they trust in the Gormays, the VRs, the Perazzas before Peraza broke his finger, as we know, that can platoon short. And Jacob deGrom is looking fine. He's throwing out at Citi Field as we speak right now. He's looking good. So I think everyone's kind of, on pace to be back sooner than later, which is awesome to see. But no less, what stands out the most this series, again, is the offense. When I think about all the offenses the Mets have faced this year, nothing even remotely gets close to the Blue Jays. You could maybe say the Boston Red Sox, because when the Boston Red Sox came into Queens, they had the hottest offense in all the MLB earlier this year. The Mets lost that series. They got swept in that 2-game series, I believe, but they did not give up any runs the entire time. Jacob deGrom dominated them in 1 game. I forget who pitched the 2nd game, but no less, the Mets literally did not give up any runs that series. They just could not put up any runs themselves, unfortunately. But the Toronto Blue Jays, they are a monster. Every single position I look, they have a guy that could kill you offensively. And that's going to be a huge test. And another big test, again, will be Steven Matz, because Matz is a homecoming. We're going to see it's going to be an emotional last game for him. We know that, okay? So the Mets can take advantage of that, or it can be a situation where Steven Matz comes back home to Queens, where his family's going to be there. He's going to get cheered. He's going to be gaining an uproar. We all know that. He was fantastic. He had some very strong moments with the Mets at times, and he was also fantastic with his charity work because, again, he's from Long Island, so he had no problem giving back to the community. It's a southpaw game. That's my biggest worry, to be quite honest, that Steven Matz comes into tomorrow and has his best game this season. There's one, the Mets suck against southpaws this year. I don't know why. When your best hitter, lefty-wise, is Dom Smith, who is also a lefty, there's an issue. Steven Matz might mow down the Mets over 6 innings. I don't know, but no less, it's going to be a massive task for them. I hope not, but I wish the guy the best, just not tomorrow. And it's going to be a really, really tough matchup for the Mets, offensively speaking. But I really think the series is going to be a lot like what we saw against Pittsburgh and a lot like what we saw against the Reds. I think it's going to be an offensive galore. I really do. I think both teams are going to get lit up. Whether that makes the Mets be the better team offensively, I don't know. Whether that makes the Blue Jays a better team offensively, it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm excited because, again, the Blue Jays are not a team I have ill will with personally. They're unbelievably entertaining. And all I know is that this is a massive test for the Mets. So if they can somehow squeak away a series win here, this will be telling of the direction that they're going forward. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it, no less, but I'm going to keep my predictions up in the air. I have genuinely no clue how this series is going to go. The pessimist in me says, we're losing easily 2 out of 3. The optimist in me says we're going to jump on the lack of starting pitching the Toronto Blue Jays have and win 2 of these 3 games. Either way, I'm excited. And with that being said, Richie, are there any kind of final thoughts that you have for this series in particular before we get on to, and something that I've been wanting to touch on for a while on a stream, is what's been going on leading up to the trade deadline? So any final stances you'd like to give here?
Yeah, not really. I just feel like this is a big time for the Mets the offense to carry the load. I said it earlier. We've been relying on our pitching and defense all season long, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now it's time for the offense to really break out. I'm looking at guys like Michael Conforto to continue his strong suit at the plate. I feel like he's a very streaky hitter. When he's cold, he's cold. When he's hot, he is unstoppable. So Michael Conforto, I'm looking out for him. I'm looking out for Pete Alonzo to start getting more comfortable at home because he has been absolutely dominant away from home, which is a little concerning. I would rather see Pete do that at Citi Field. Dom Smith. I'm just really hoping that this offense can carry the load, because that's the one thing that's holding this team back is consistency at the plate.
Yep, absolutely. And look, I'm excited knowing that the Mets, at least if they're having a lack of starting pitching, at least they're having an offense that is finding a groove. That's unbelievably important. It sucks that they haven't matched together. Yesterday was an anomaly. I could count the amount of times on my hand the Mets had dominant pitching and offense this season in unison. Doesn't happen often, but no less, that's something that the Mets need drastically to have continued success this season. So, Richie, let's get into now. I know that we're getting a little short on time, but for the remainder of time that we have with you, and before I'll start probably taking questions myself, guys, because Richie's gonna have to get out of here soon. But no, let's get into some trade deadline talk, because you and I haven't talked about it on stream yet. I think now is a perfect time. So let me just hear your first kind of overall thoughts on what has been going on with everything leading up to the trade deadline. As you know, I've been making videos every single day. It feels like a new day, a new player that the Mets are showing interest in, or a guy that makes sense for them. So at this point in time, with what is currently going on with the Mets, with the complete lack of starting pitching depth, with the urgency to add on even before the trade deadline, do you expect moves to happen this weekend before the Braves series begins, the way that I somewhat do? And if so, what are some players that you're potentially looking at? Or even better yet, what players stand out the most to you that you think make perfect sense for this club from everything you've seen?
I'm not sure when it's going to happen, whether it's this weekend, whether it's before the Braves series, or whether it's literally a minute before the trade deadline. But I feel like this team needs to address the pitching, because I feel like I've said over and over again in the stream, we've been, built on relying on our pitching. And right now we're thin. We're very, injury prone, unfortunately. And it's crazy, because if you look at the team on paper, injuries aside, pitching is not an issue. We got guys like Jacob deGrom, who is the best pitcher in the world, but obviously he's been dealing with injuries. Taijuan Walker's an all-star. Marcus Stroman is playing like an all-star. Carlos Carrasco, who we're expecting to be a good, solid pitcher for us, because he's been nothing short of consistent throughout his career. Noah Syndergaard, who are hopeful to come back eventually. Tyler McGill, who has been a revelation as a rookie. David Peterson, who's been very inconsistent so far this year, but there's some starts where he looks great, some starts where he looks terrible. So if you look at the depth chart on paper, we don't really need pitching. The issue is the injuries. So with that being said, I'm expecting this team to add an arm. I don't feel like they can go into the second half of the season without going out there and getting a guy like Jose Barrios. That's someone who I really like, simply because I'm pretty sure he has an extra year of control after the season. So it's not like I hate trading for a player that's gone after the season. I know that's going to make the price a little lower for a guy like Chris Bryant, because Chris Bryant, if we trade for him, then there's a good chance that he walks next year. And we know what happened 2015 when we traded for Yoenis Cespedes. He was a free agent going into the season, and he was a big reason that we ended up winning the division and going to the World Series. And then we ended up re-signing him, which probably wasn't a good idea at the time, even though I was on board for it. But there's a lot of good things that can happen at the trade deadline. I would love a guy like Chris Bryant simply because of his versatility on defense, and also his bat. I feel like another big bat thrown into the lineup like this would be huge. But then at the same time, is there room for him? Because JD Davis looks like he is on another level offensively right now. He's a guy that can be very consistent at the plate. And then if JD Davis is playing well, where do you play Chris Bryant? I know he's versatile. He could play in the outfield, but there's no room for him in the outfield. We got Dom Smith on the left. We got Conforto in right and Nimmo in center. Jeff McNeil's playing second, and I know we can play first at times. We have Pete Alonzo there, and if Pete Alonzo goes down, we put Dom Smith there, and then maybe we could put Chris Bryant there, but hopefully there's no injuries. So if we do trade for Chris Bryant, I just don't know where they're going to put him. Are they going to bench JD Davis? Because JD Davis has been a very good player so far whenever he is healthy. So it's a big question to ask. I would love Chris Bryant, but I'm not like 100% all in on Bryant like some Mets fans, just because I don't know where he would fit. But at the same time, if we had a DH, bring him in, because we need his bat by any means necessary. So the two guys that I'm looking out for is Jose Barrios, because I like that he's young, he has upside, and he's a guy that can be on the Mets next season as well. And Chris Bryant is a guy that I feel like can bring an extra bat, but at the same time, I just don't know where he'd fit.
Yeah, I mean, those are the most ideal ones, obviously, and those are what we both want. I think most Mets fans can attest. They would love a Chris Bryant. They would love a Jose Barrios. I am fully on board in the notion, and I think what stood out to me was what Zach Scott said in his recent podcast, how we kind of know this by now, but when you look at the current team, starting pitching is by far their priority, especially with their injuries now. I have a feeling the Mets are going to make a trade this weekend by Monday, and I'd be lying if that doesn't go directly in hand with me not in attendance for like tomorrow's game, for instance, just because I'm got to be on the edge lean up. I do think the Mets are going to add an arm real soon, and I do think it's going to be of the lesser end. I'm looking at a guy like Tyler Anderson, like they've shown interest in from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Maybe a Merrill Kelly from Arizona, but I think that's more of a stretch. I'm really looking at one of Tyler Anderson or even John Gray from the Colorado Rockies. Two guys that make so much sense for this club, but Tyler Anderson really is everything that the Mets will be looking for right now. Just add a southpaw in the rotation for a low cost, and then if he's pushed out of the rotation, if Cookie Carrasco is back and exceeds expectations, and they do land a Jose Barrios, and great, but I'd say that don't be surprised if the Mets make a trade for a starting pitcher this weekend. I just don't think anything drastic is going to happen until we get closer to the deadline, but they have been showing interest in guys and have had a further urgency. So it's an exciting time, man. Trade deadline season is awfully similar to the offseason with a hard actual date. And this time it's different now where you can't even do like waiver deals after the trade deadline this year. It's just a hard trade deadline. So a lot of moves are going to be made, but no less, I think you're going with some fairly safe picks. Maybe the Mets only land one of the two, but no less, I do expect them to make a big splash, and it's something that we are going to be talking about endlessly next week. Everything leading up to the trade deadline, we'll be making videos, we'll be making streams nonstop on the channel. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But with that being said, Richie, I know you got to get out of here, my friend. So again, thank you so much for this. Always love doing these Mets talks with you, and I appreciate everyone that's been chiming in the stream. So guys, we'll be going on for the stream a little bit longer. I'll be doing the Q&A with you guys. Won't be taking callers, but we'll be doing a Q&A no less. That way I can actually answer more of your comments. I feel that's the better route for today's episode. So Richie, any final stances before we get you out of here?
Yeah, man, always a pleasure hopping on and talking some Mets baseball with you, Wardy. I love doing this. And everybody in the chat, I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate all the support all across my channels, whether it's Mets Media, Jets Media, Knicks Media, doesn't matter. I really genuinely appreciate the community that I am a part of. I feel like it's a family. We're all in this together. And again, if you guys disagree with anything that I'm saying, that's totally okay. It's organic to disagree, and no need to get upset if you hear something from me and you disagree. But that's just the reality of, you know, having a voice and a platform like Wardy and I do. But again, I do appreciate every single one of you guys in the chat, because without you guys, none of this is possible. And stay tuned for more content on Wardy's channel, of course, and of mine. I'm about to go record a preview video to the Toronto Blue Jay series, even though you guys got a whole preview in this series, in this live stream. But appreciate everybody. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video, and I'll see you guys in the next stream, whenever that will be. So appreciate you, Tyler.
Awesome, Richie. Appreciate you too, bro. Have a good rest of your day. Appreciate you being here for another episode of Mets Talk. Everyone, make sure you subscribe to my man, Richie. But now, guys, we're going to be getting into a Q&A for the next, I'd say, upwards of 15 to 20 minutes that we have left here in the show. So again, thank you all so much to everyone that's been here. Love and appreciate you guys. If you guys would like to now start asking questions my way, if you would like to hear my stances on anything, or if you had questions back all the way in the beginning of the stream that I just didn't get a chance to touch on it yet because of the fact that we weren't taking questions yet, by all means, feel free to reiterate them, ask them again. Again, shout out to my good friend Dave, who's an awesome subscriber. I know some people asked where I got this hat. Got this from Dave. I love this camo Mets hat, and also the awesome Mets design on the wall. I know it's blocked from some of the things I have in the way, but it's the shape of, you know, a normal base in baseball, but it's a really, really cool Mets design. When you see the city, you see like the skyline in the back, and it looks like a big sun around it. You see the Statue of Liberty, and it's also actually, it looks like a normal field on it too. So really, really cool. Shout out to my good friend Dave. He's the best. I hope he's doing well wherever he is right now. But all right, guys, let's get into some questions here. Let's get into a little bit of Q&A. I'm going to just change the setup here to get this actually on the board. And yeah, I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. They'll help us get to 100 likes by the end of the stream, or just in general at any point. It would really mean a lot, guys. Tomorrow's fireworks night. I've never missed a fireworks night. Timothy, you're a beast. I know you haven't, because you're a beauty, Tim. Hope you're doing well, my man. I really want to be out fireworks night tomorrow, guys. But again, you've always got content to do. I felt that tomorrow would be a good time for an in-game live stream, and we'll get Jim from Ballcap Sports on the channel to do that as well. So that's going to be really fun. Really, really looking forward to that. I'm new subscribe. Love listening to you. A love from Canada. Oh, thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate that, my friend. Happy to have you here. So yeah, guys, if you have questions, by all means, feel free to ask forward. Looking forward to going to a game this weekend. I'll be the first row in left field. Attaboy, Chris. Have a fantastic time. Wardy, how nervous are you about this upcoming series with the Jays? Kyle, I don't really think I'm nervous. I don't know. I don't know. I really shouldn't say I'm nervous. I'm anxious for the series, if that makes sense, because I'm excited for it. I feel like when you use the term nervous, it's more so in the sense of, it's just going to be bad things happening. Like, I don't know. I'm the only thing that I'm nervous about is the pitching. And I that doesn't just go for the Mets. I think that goes for the Blue Jays too. So I don't think I'm nervous. I'm anxious for the series. I'm awfully curious how it is going to go. That's how I feel about it. Nolan, great member on the channel, says, Wardy, I'm going on the 28th. What's the chance the Mets have a new player? You're going on the 28th. I say there is a very strong chance the Mets have acquired at least one new player in the club. Whether that's a depth guy or a significant guy, I don't know. But 28th, yeah. Yeah, I think there's a solid chance. I'll be at the blackout night on the 30th. I know you will, Tim. Have a fantastic time. The only reason why I'm not going to the first blackout, guys, on the 30th is because that's the day of the MLB trade deadline. Your boy's going to be making videos, streaming for whatever trades happen the Mets' way. But I will be at a blackout August 13th for the Mets against the Dodgers. So stay tuned for that. I'll be taking my girlfriend, finally get her. I haven't even been able to take her to Citi Field yet this year. So long overdue. I'm excited for that. Tyler, my stand is 423 if you come this weekend. Okay, Asia, thank you, my friend. Yeah, I won't be going to games this weekend, Asia, but no less, I'll be back at Citi Field soon. On Monday, the doubleheader against the Braves. That is where I will be eyeing to be in attendance. So the Mets better not do any foo-foo stuff and make deals when I'm not home. That won't be nice. Warrior, what time is the Rangers stream? It is 3:30, so 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Warrior, do you still trust Edwin Diaz in a bright spot? I do. I think it's really unfortunate what's happened to Edwin in his pass blown saves, but no less. He needs to get in a little bit of groove, but I'm still confident in Edwin. I think he can get the job done. He's just not as consistent as I think we would ideally like a closer, but when he's on, he's definitely on. Brandon says, hey, Tyler, how do you feel about playing the Blue Jays? How do you feel about the pitching matchup? Well, kind of as I alluded to already, Brandon, I don't love the pitching matchups for either side. I like the fact that the Mets have two starters in the series that bring me some comfortability. Walker against his former club, I think he has a little bit of an advantage there, just knowing he has familiarity with that same team. And he also has more familiarity pitching against AL clubs as it is during his time with the Mariners. And also pitching-wise for the Mets, Tyler McGill, I like him. It'll be a big test for him, for the 25-year-old rookie. And for the Blue Jays, I expect Ryu to have a good game. Mats is either going to be really good or really bad. That's my guess for Mats. I don't know how that's going to go. And Stripling, I think he's a guy the Mets should be able to take advantage of. But again, should and will are two different things. Nolan with the $2 donation. Thank you so much for that, Nolan. Guys, everyone, pardon me, I'm getting hiccups all of a sudden. Everyone get some love in the chat for my man, Nolan. Thank you so much for the $2 dono. Appreciate you, my man. Or are you going to be staying with me on Monday? Yes, Thomas. Thomas, we'll see how that works. I don't know if I'll be able to sit like right there the entire time or whatever it's going to be, but no less. Yeah, I'll be searching out for you, and we'll definitely do it. I know that if you're able to get a ball or two, that'd be fantastic, by the way. You're a ball boy, so that is the one thing I will ask from you while we're there, because I have yet to actually receive a ball at Citi Field. I've only gotten one in Philly, and that's because I chased down a Conforto bomb to right deck all the way up top, third deck in BP a couple years ago in 2019. Yes, Asia, I will be at both games as of now on Monday. How's it go to YouTube? I'm at work. I'm awesome, James. How are you, my man? You're the GOAT, buddy. Hopefully you all have a great day. Same to you, James. Hope your work day is going well. Fantasy with black jerseys, Chinese knockoffs, I'm sure $60. Oh yeah, they'll still get the job done though. Yeah, they'll be good. I see a lot of people repping the Lindor black one that's unofficial. My girlfriend has that one too. Looks awesome. So, once the official ones are out though, I will surely be getting one. That's fair, and I agree because I wish DeGrom could pitch. Absolutely, yeah, me too. Bounce back from the last start for Walker, that wasn't him. Yeah, no, I'm not going to put any stock into Walker's start against Pittsburgh. Anything and everything that could have went wrong. Stop saying familiarity. Nah, I don't think I'm going to, Brian, just because you said that. Stripling has been awful in his last three starts. You should be able to get to him. Yeah, I know Stripling's been very up and down for the Blue Jays, and that has unfortunately went in hand with their lack of success this year. But again, I hope for the Blue Jays that they do make deadline acquisitions that could shore up the bullpen and the rotation. It's going to be interesting. Like I said this going into the season. I feel like the Blue Jays are going to do that more after the season. I feel like that's really where they're going to add on to things because they know officially what they have with the rest of the roster. But we'll see. If you have hiccups, put your fingers in your ears. I know it sounds weird, but it works. I think I'm good now, but that's something I'll definitely toy with going forward. I'm a Blue Jays fan since I was born. Awesome, Robert. Happy to have you here, my friend. What's up, Kim? Let's see. Tower, I met the entertainer talking sports at a game. Hook him up with free food. Oh, that's awesome, Asia. Awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. You know, he's been doing all New York sports content for a while. He's been in the streams at least once or twice, so I hope he's doing well. Where I got like 10 people from work who are Mets fans to sub to you. Oh, thank you, Nolan. I appreciate that. Shout out to those 10 people if you ever watch this. Tell them that all you guys need to be saying thank you to Nolan Locke for bringing you here. All jokes aside, appreciate that, Nolan. You're the best. PNC Park was amazing. It was raining. It was drizzling throughout the entire game on and off. So I didn't get to experience nice, bright blue skies by the river there in Pittsburgh, but fantastic. Never been to Pittsburgh before. I cannot wait to go back. I hate Nagowski at first base, was flipping him off and was yelling at him constantly in that game. But from an overall ballpark perspective, it is like the most beautiful AAA ballpark you'll ever go to. It's very tight, especially when you're walking around the place, but it is beautiful. Every seat is a good seat. Front row, literally right at the Mets dugout. Could not have gone better. Had an absolute blast. Love that ballpark. Easily one of my favorites. Easily. I do not expect many ballparks to top that one. Pardon me. Ryu will probably shut us down. It's possible. It's definitely possible. Ryu's a fantastic pitcher. He's had a fair share of good outings against the Mets, notably during his time with the Dodgers. But anything's possible. Prediction for a number of wins by the end of the season. I predict that the Mets get at least 90 wins. And I've said this going into the season. I will hold true to it. Whether the Mets get 90 or they get over, if the Mets get right around 90 or if they get closer to 100, I have no clue. All right, guys, my apologies for that. I just had to do something quick. I think we get 87 wins. That's what they're in line for right now, so it makes sense why you think that way. Barrios is going to be expensive. He won't be cheap. Yes, he won't be cheap, but the Mets are going all in this trade deadline. I'm enjoying the video, Wardy. Thank you so much, Jordan. I'm happy to have you here. And again, guys, if you just chime in, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe on again. We really mean a lot. Again, we're trying to get 8K subs by August. I don't know if we'll get there. I do think that the trade deadline will have us gain more of a following here just because people are going to be interested. They haven't checked out the channel before, and if the Mets do anything significant, you know your boys is going to be topping out with the streams and everything. So I'm excited for that. But of course, help us by gaining 8K subs if you're new here, and also help us by gaining 100 likes by the end of the stream. It would really mean a lot, guys. And if you're a hockey fan, especially if you're a Rangers fan, I know we got a lot of Islanders fans in here, so I'm not going to ask you guys. But if you're a Rangers fan by chance, I will be doing a live stream with my good friend Steven that we do our Rangers review podcast on WardyNYM starting at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, talking about the expansion draft, any potential trades that are going to happen or have happened, and so much more. And also everything leading up into the entry draft this weekend. Predicted record, yeah. Like I said, I think the Mets will get at least 90 wins this year. I'm going to leave it at that, though. Let's see. Do I think this trade deadline is going to be action-packed? Yes, Mikey, I do. I think this trade deadline has potential to be even more insane than the offseason. Crazy how we get back all these position players, and I took Picciani. Oh, absolutely. We're never allowed to have both things at once this year. It's frustrating, Chris, but they will all be in sync at some point. Let's see here. More comments for you guys. Again, appreciate all you being here. Really, really does mean a lot. We're going to go on for another five minutes or so, guys, and then that's going to conclude the stream today. A little bit of a shorter stream. I would have liked to take callers, but it just wasn't in the works, unfortunately, given the schedule, so I apologize for that. I have an amazing feeling about this team, man. So do I, Nolan. It's crazy. You wouldn't think that given all the ups and downs they've had this year, but when you realize why they've had all their ups and downs, you know that there is a strong chance this team can do something special. Who did the Kraken take from the Rangers? It's Colin Blackwell as of now. I don't care. Trade all our prospects. No, we're not trading all of our prospects, Ryan. This is why you're not GM. Let's see here. You'll be there, Wardy. You'll be where? Oh, at the stream. Awesome. Again, appreciate that. Appreciate all you guys being here again. If you have any further questions, guys, before we get out of here, by all means, please ask away if you have any trade questions. Before we talk more in depth on that next week, where we'll be doing some trade deadline streams, either the couple days before or actually on the trade deadline day. No less, it's going to be kind of endless content next week. It's going to be ridiculous. Why the heck would you trade away all those Mets prospects? You wouldn't, Brandon. That's why they're not going to. You say 96 when it comes to wins, Timothy? Bold, but I like that. Only player I trade Alvarez for is Trout. I mean, I just saw an Alvarez bomb 2 days ago at the Cyclones game. So much fun, by the way. Alvarez pimped that thing. The Mets' top prospect, catching prospect, was amazing. And he also had a home run yesterday as well. So back-to-back days. And Ryan Mauricio is looking awesome. Your mom's in the chat. Awesome, Asia. Hope your mom is doing well, too. I know that she's been in the chat before. Hope you guys are both doing fantastic. Happy to have you both here. We have 5 in the top 100 now. I know, Thomas. It's exciting. The Mets, they're front-loaded with their prospect pool. They might lose one of those 5 as well by the trade deadline, but no, I appreciate that they actually have some better prospects now. Trade for Trout? Yeah, who says no, right? Let's just trade for Trout. Which prospect do you think has the highest percentage of getting traded? Personally, I think the most likely prospect to be traded this year, and this is going to surprise some people, and I know he just got promoted, and I know he's doing really well, but I just have a gut feeling about JT Ginn. And Ronnie Mauricio is a guy that I think has a very strong chance of being dealt too. But if the Mets can maneuver a way to not get rid of Ronnie, I think JT, one, because he's been appealing to multiple clubs, including the Chicago Cubs that have scouted him this year. And 2, the Mets just drafted like every single starting pitcher known to man in this year's draft. They got Kumar Rocker, as we know. They added plenty of starting pitching depth. So as well as JT Ginn has done, I think that he has found himself a little bit more expendable, especially given the draft for the Mets. And I know that in a lot of these scenarios, teams are going to be looking for young starting pitching depth. And that is a guy that JT Ginn would bring. So I don't want to see Ginn go, but for whatever reason, he just stands out to me, unfortunately. And then you're looking at the others like Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos, Palmer, potentially, all guys that have been toyed with for a while as potentially being dealt. I don't know. Something about Ginn has just been standing out to me lately. Alvarez and Beatty aren't going anywhere. Mauricio is definitely a playing card, but again, it's got to be a damn good deal if you're going to get rid of Ronnie at this point, especially he's really started to turn on the pace lately for the Cyclones in a positive way. You think Ziegler has a higher chance than Ginn? That potentially could be the case. He has a lot of upside. Did I like the Mets draft picks? I did. I didn't love all of them, but they made a lot of interesting picks. They picked a lot of starting pitchers with very high spin rates. They're really, really focusing on the spin rate there, like natural spin rates too, which is pretty cool because they know that is definitely a focus in the right direction. How much spin rates have been an impact on the game of baseball without manipulating your spin rate for that matter. But it's been interesting. I like it though. Vientos is more likely on your part. Ginn and JD for Chris Bryant and someone else, maybe like a bullpen piece. I don't think that's completely outlandish. I feel like that the Mets would still have to probably cough up more because the Mets are not the only suitor for Chris Bryant. So not sold on that, but you're in the right direction. And with saying that though, guys, that is going to conclude this actual episode of New York Mets Talk Live with myself alongside Richie at Mets Media. So again, guys, if you haven't checked out Richie at Mets Media, what are you doing? Please make sure to subscribe to the man. It would really mean a lot. Of course, subscribe here, like the stream if you enjoyed it. Expect more awesome, and I mean awesome Mets content on the channel, including tonight. I will be on Blue Jays Today. Check out their channel if you like Blue Jays content, overall baseball content. They do a phenomenal job. I'll be on there talking about the Blue Jays, everything there is to know about the series preview against the Mets further and from a Blue Jays perspective too, so we can kind of go back and forth on our thoughts on the matter. 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Be there or be square. I'll be posting that in the community tab. And also tomorrow, I will be live for the first game of the Blue Jays series against the Mets. We'll be doing an in-game live stream. Myself, along with Jim at Ballcap Sports. We all love Jim. He'll be on the channel for at least an hour or so, and we'll be sharing our commentary back and forth from a Blue Jays fan's perspective and a Mets fan's perspective, and then I'll be sharing the rest of the game with my own personal commentary. So excited for that. A lot of great content, and of course, next week, you guys know the drill by now. A lot of Mets content coming up with all these trade deadline possibilities and expectations and realities with the players that they will surely be landing. So again, thank you all so much, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and of course, let's go Mets, baby. Talk to you guys again soon.